In this video, we're going to make a single computer keyboard key using TinkerCad that we can duplicate to then make a model of an entire keyboard that would be on a computer or a Chromebook. So the first thing you need to do is log into TinkerCad using your student ID, navigate to the Design section, then click on the Create button and click on 3D Designs. That's going to open up the Snap Grid. Now we're going to go ahead and grab one of these cubes and pull it over. And then we're going to adjust the size of the cube because a keyboard key isn't a perfect cube. To adjust the height of the cube, all we have to do is click on the box that's on the top. And notice when I hover over it, it shows a number. When I hover over any of the boxes, these will show the number that corresponds to that dimension. What I care about right now is the height. I'm going to click on the box. Now I can type into this number, and I'm going to make this a 7. That way it's pretty low like that. Good. And let me zoom in a little bit. So this could be a keyboard key, but if you notice, your keyboard actually has a little indentation on every single key. Not a big indentation, but a small one. So we have to make that indentation. The way we do that is we're going to go ahead and get a sphere. Let's get the sphere and pull it over. And the sphere, again, the indentation is not a huge indentation. It's a little tiny indentation. So we need to reduce the height of this sphere and make it more like a different shaped object. So we're going to go ahead and click the height again. And this time we're going to change that 20 to a 3. There, very, very flat sphere. Now we need to raise this up. To raise up anything in TinkerCad, you're just going to click on the arrow. There we go. When it turns red, that means I've selected it. I'm going to press it and pull it up a little bit above the height of the cube. Then I'm going to go ahead with this view and align these two together. And one hint that I like to use is I use my little arrow keys because the arrow keys tend to help you make things perfectly aligned. Good. So now I have two things. I have this box and then I have this shape that once was a sphere. So I'm going to click on the blue shape here, and I'm going to turn this into a hole. By clicking it, I open up this box over here, the selection box, and I'm going to click on hole. So now this is going to make this into a hole. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the arrow again, and now I'm going to move this down just a little bit. And notice when I do that, I have a number here, the 6. This number I can click on and maybe make that a 5. And so this is a height of 5. So now I've got a hole in my box. To view this hole as one thing, what I need to do is select both objects and then group them together by clicking on the group key up here. This key is only available, this button, when I group the objects. So let's do this. And it looks nice, but the hole is actually a bit too deep. We don't want it to be that deep. So what I'm going to do is select the objects again, and now I'm going to select Ungroup, like that. And then I'm going to click anywhere in the Snap Grid to unselect everything so that I can just select carefully, there we go, just the hole. And I'm going to go ahead and maybe raise this up a little bit. So let's raise this up from a 5 to a 6. So now it barely touches the box. Let's try that. So let's group this together again. And go like this. And let's see. Much better. That looks a lot more like the indentation on a keyboard key. Now, the next thing we have to do, though, is create the letter. And this can be a little bit complicated, so you've got to follow along. To create the letter, the first thing we have to do, of course, is get some text. Luckily, TinkerCad has some text. So we'll go ahead and get the text and just pull it over here. And let's turn the text white because it's going to be white. There we go. And then when I click on the text, notice up here in my little menu box, I've got some things. One of them is text. Let's make this just the letter S, just for fun. So essentially, I'm going to highlight the text and make it a capital S. There we go. Now, obviously, this letter is way too big for this because the dimensions of the box are 20 by 20, and the dimensions of the letter are 20.38 by 14. So I've got to definitely change the size of this. So let's go ahead and click here. And let's just make this a 12. And let's make this a 8. So something like that. It may not be perfect, but it'll work for right now. Now I'm going to take my letter and move it so that it is kind of centered. And I'm going to use my arrow keys again just to make it a little bit better. And when I look at my keyboard, this is about right. I may want to make this a little bit bigger. So I'm going to just click on my dimensions here and make this 9 and make this one a 13. There we go. And go like this. And let's use my arrow keys to make sure that it's pretty well centered. Good. All right. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Whenever you group objects together in TinkerCad, the main object's color is what colors everything. So you can't have two different colors in a grouped object. The way we're going to solve that problem, though, because we do need to add an indentation to this letter, because if I just go like this, that doesn't look very good because it's sticking out too far. So I need to add an indentation to this letter, and I need to add an indentation that's basically the same as the box. Here's how I'm going to do that. First, I notice that the letter is way too tall. So let's pull the letter up so that it is right at the ground. I know it's at the ground because it says 0. And then let's change the height of the letter to, let's go 6. Like that. And we'll pull the letter up so we can see it. Actually, we'll pull it all the way up. Now, there's a reason why I'm making it really, really thick. I'll show you that in a second. So I'm going to pull the letter all the way up. So it's still centered. I just pulled it up. Now I'm going to go ahead and do notice I probably want to go like that. There. So now I'm going to go ahead and do this. I need to get a copy of the hole because if I use this same hole that's right here on this, then the impression that that hole makes will be the same. So how I do that is I'm going to go ahead and grab just these two items down here. I'm going to ungroup them. I'm going to click on my grid, so now nothing is selected. Now I'm going to click on the hole, and then up here on the left side, I'm going to click this little duplicate button. So you don't really see much happening, but if I go to this arrow here and grab it, notice now there's two, so I just pulled one out. So I'm going to pull this up here. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this and group it again. Actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to change the color of my key now to black. There we go. Then I'm going to grab both items and group them. There we go. And now for the letter, I'm going to head and let's do this. Let's grab both items and group them. So now the letter is indented as well. So now I should be able to just touch the little top arrow, pull it down so that it is barely above there. So see how it's sticking up a lot? This is where I really want to use these keys. So if I move it, see how it says a 2 over here? I'm going to click that 2 and make that 1.9. Let's make it 1.75. And this is where you're going to have to just work a little bit here with these numbers so that you get it just right. Let's try 1.3. 1.2. We don't want it too low because then it'll be partly in and partly out. 1.15 looks pretty good. So there we go. There's my letter. And I probably want to use my arrows and center it a little bit better. But now I have a letter and a key. Now, all I have to do is grab all of this and click duplicate. Then I can just move this one off to the side like that. And then I'm just going to change this letter. And then I can actually go ahead and grab both of them and duplicate and move these off. See that? There we go. And all I have to do now is just basically create the key layout and then go through and change all the letters. And I will have a mock-up of my computer keyboard. One hint, though, is to look at your computer keys and notice that some of the keys on the top may not be perfectly square shaped, and some of the keys are very long, but all of them do have an indentation. So bear that in mind as you work through this little project. Good luck.